The evidence is now public that the U.S. government snooping works to stop terrorists. So this has gone now way beyond metadata, numbers crunching, and officials talking in general terms. Folks, we have names, faces, and targets. Details were declassified and then put on the record this morning at this Capitol Hill hearing. The chief of the National Security Agency and leaders at the FBI named 4 separate plots that they say were thwarted because of the surveillance programs that a lot of critics are calling a mass invasion of privacy. And it is just 4, they say, of many more.
In recent years, the information gathered from these programs provided the U.S. government with critical leads to help prevent over 50 potential terrorist events in more than 20 countries around the world.
Okay, so here are the plots that were stopped. First up, New York subway. An intercepted email from Pakistan led to Nazibul Azazi, who confessed to a plot to bomb the system. You also had a plot against the New York Stock Exchange. NSA flagging an extremist in Yemen who led them to Khalid Ozani. Forgive me. He provided information and support to a plot to bomb the exchange. Next, Danish newspaper. NSA found that American David Headley was working on a plot to bomb the paper that published cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad. And the fourth, this case here, one that the FBI had closed, NSA actually reopened because of what analysts uncovered. An official said that the U.S. was able to, quote unquote, disrupt terrorist activity. Again, these are 4, according to officials, of some 50 plus plots. I want to go to 2 strong voices on what the NSA has been doing. Julie Myers Wood is a former Assistant Secretary of Homeland. I don't think it's security. I think it should be Secretary of Homeland Security. Forgive me.
That's right, Brooke.
And President, of Guidepost Solutions, typo, and Ben Ferguson, radio host of the show, The Ben Ferguson Show. So, welcome back to both of you. I know we did this one day last week, so we just wanted to follow up and come kind of full circle here. So, Ben Ferguson, you're up at bat first. Did the government today reveal too little or too much?
I don't think that they did really either of those things. I think the American people are looking to these leaders and saying, okay, can you show us legitimate cause and make our fears be calmed down by showing us that, in fact, you are using this information for good instead of just targeting Americans and my phone records. And I'm not sure they did enough today to somehow make people feel more safe or feel more comfortable with these programs. Some of the information they talked about today, I think a lot of Americans are going to say, this is kind of Captain Obvious information. Of course we know the government is attacking and trying to protect Americans and interests and bombings and everything else. But you still didn't speak to what are you doing with all of our information, and are you keeping it? And more importantly, are there people in the government that can abuse this information?
So you're still frustrated with just the simple act of what they've been doing for the last 7 years versus the fact that, perhaps a lot of fears are allayed today because these plots have been foiled because of this program. You're still stuck on that. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you clearly.
I'm stuck on the fact that it seems like there's still not enough information on what they're doing with information that's not connected to terrorism and terrorist phone numbers. And most Americans feel the same way. We expect you to go after information connected to terrorists. But I don't think the majority of Americans feel as if this is a targeted program. It's too broad-reaching, and it's taking everyone's information, specifically those that have no connection to terrorism.
Okay, Julie, you've defended the program. What do you make of the news that came out today?
I think the news was very significant. They're talking about 50 plots, some very significant plots that have been disrupted. And I think one of the most important things is that there was an investigation that was shut down and then reopened because of this program. I agree with Ben that the story's not over. We should continue to have more explanations. We should continue to explore whether or not our laws are strong enough. But I think the news this morning was very encouraging, frankly, to see all the things and all the ways they've used this information to protect America.
Now, I know there are people out there, and I talked to a former CIA operative last hour. My question to him was, look, this is 4 plots out of 50 plus plots. Do you think that the American government should say, okay, great, we trust you, we believe you, we don't need any more, plots declassified or more information to the public? Should we be trusting the government that what they're saying goes? Should we, Julie?
I think there's a lot of mistrust in the government overall based on some of the activities that have happened in the last couple of years. So you can't blame folks like Ben for being frustrated. At the same time, I think General Alexander had a great point this morning when he said we can't reveal every plot and all the details of every plot we've disrupted. If we do that, we are giving the terrorists too much information. So I think there's a balance there.
Brooke,
go ahead, Ben.
Brooke, I think one of the interesting things is if you ask the American people if they trusted the 4 individuals that are sitting there in front of Congress today, I think the majority of Americans would say yes. The problem is they're not the ones that are actually day in and day out going through and mining this information. And that's where that core issue of trust comes up is, can I trust the people that work under you to not abuse this power and use it for possible political reasons, which we saw with the IRS? This administration right now has a major trust issue with the American people, and that's something they have not experienced before.
Let me just jump in, because I think just a layer to this story is also the timing, because, last night there was the big interview with President of the United States sitting down with Charlie Rose, right, on PBS, which, full transparency, listen, that was taped before the president left for Ireland, but let's just first listen to a quick soundbite. Here they were.
I've stood up a privacy and civil liberties oversight board made up of independent citizens, including some fierce civil libertarians. I'll be meeting with them. And what I want to do is to set up and structure a national conversation.
So,
I think,
hang on. Here he is. He's defending the NSA program. Let me just get to my other point, which is you have this airing last night. Then, less than 24 hours later, you have this intricately orchestrated hearing with all this new detail. Obviously no coincidence, Julie. I mean, what do you make of the strategy here?
Well, certainly, ever since the first leak happened, they've gone back and looked, what can we connect, what can we show that has been disrupted based on, these programs. And so they really tried to build that case. But I thought the president's point about the Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board was very significant. That was a board that was imposed by Congress, not by President Obama. And that's a board that's frankly been quite inactive. And so I think it's interesting that now he's going to bring this board together and now use this board in a different way. And let's see what that board is going to do in this instance.
I hear you, Ben. What's your butt?
Brooke, boards, I think, mean nothing. And a proof of it is the president appointed a job creation board that met a total of 0 times. So I don't think that's going to make the American people go, oh, well, you picked some of your buddies and they're now on this board and that's going to fix our problem. He had a job creation board and they never even met before he dissolved it. So I don't think people think a citizen board is going to be able to figure out what's going too far and maybe what's not going too far when you're dealing with the NSA, for goodness sake.
Julie, I want you to respond to that.
Thank you. This is a bipartisan board. These individuals have terms that last over several years. We can't just rely on the board. That's one piece. We need Congress to look at the laws. We need the FISA court, and we need the executive branch all to act. Together, those can create appropriate controls.
All right, Julie Myers Wood and Ben Ferguson, thanks as always.